Chapter 1. The Shadow of the Past. One was born in a small town in southern Mexico, where life rarely offered a chance at a bright future. His childhood was marked by poverty and a constant struggle for survival. From an early age, one witnessed how injustice and destitution ruined lives, and gradually a belief took root in his soul that the law was merely a word, while life dictated its own rules. Even as a teenager, he sought a way out of this trap, dreaming of the wealth that seemed so unattainable. He tried to change his destiny by venturing onto the criminal path. In his youth, he took on small odd jobs, but soon realized that easy money would not bring him the results he desired. That was when he began to study criminal schemes involving smuggling and petty theft. Before long, one discovered that alcohol and precious metals were always in high demand on the black market, as they could be quickly sold for a good sum. Thus began his career as a thief. Chapter 2. The first step into a world of crime. Gradually, one became known in local criminal circles as a clever and daring thief. He was skilled at slipping unnoticed into guarded premises, using his wit and quick thinking. His early crimes did not draw much attention. He would steal alcohol from warehouses, illegally transport it across the border, and sell it to small traders in need of rare imported liquors. With each successful operation, his self-esteem grew, and in the eyes of those around him, he transformed into a true maestro of the underground business. His successes did not go unnoticed, and soon one began to associate with crime bosses involved in trading precious metals. This was an entirely different level of the criminal world, where risk and reward went hand in hand. One understood that stealing metals was a highly lucrative venture, but one that required particular caution and precision. His calm demeanor and experience in petty theft enabled him to quickly master this new field. He studied the security guard shifts, identified the weak points in the security systems, and gradually began planning larger-scale operations. Chapter 3. Between Two Worlds. For several years, one successfully engaged in minor crimes without attracting too much attention from law enforcement. Each new raid filled him with confidence and a sense that he could control his destiny. He traveled to different cities, crossed borders, and sold stolen alcohol and precious metals, gradually increasing his capital and expanding his criminal network. However, along with his financial success, internal tension grew. One was aware that his path would eventually lead to a clash with the law, yet each time his confidence in his own daring and cunning overshadowed the fear of possible consequences. He lived in a world where moral principles were replaced by calculation and survival, and trust became a rare currency. For him, money and freedom were the main goals, even if achieving them meant resorting to crime. Chapter 4. The Heist That Changed Everything. One day, one heard about a high-end jewelry store located in the very center of a major city. The store was renowned for its exclusive ornaments, expensive watches, and jewels that could fetch astronomical sums when sold. For one, this seemed like an opportunity to rise to a completely new level. He spent a long time planning the operation, studying the guard schedules, analyzing the alarm system layouts, and even selecting an appropriate outfit to blend in with the wealthy clientele. On the night of the operation, everything was going according to plan. One entered the store through a back door, disabled the alarm system, and quietly moved between the display cases of precious items. His nimble, precise hands quickly gathered the jewelry he intended to sell on the black market. However, in the midst of the heist, one of the motion sensors activated. The alarm detected his presence. One realized that the situation was spiraling out of control and tried to hide behind a counter, hoping that his concealment would fool the system. But his hopes were dashed. The alarm blared throughout the store, and soon security personnel rushed in, followed by the police. Realizing that his moment had come, one attempted to escape through a window, but the experienced officers quickly surrounded him. A struggle for his life ensued right before the astonished eyes of bystanders, and soon one was caught. Chapter 5. The Last Moments of Freedom. After one's apprehension, chaos erupted inside the store. People who happened to witness the crime watched with alarm and disbelief. One, fully aware of the gravity of the situation, recalled the days when his criminal path had seemed limitless and opportunities endless. Now, under the dim glow of police flashlights, he felt isolated and abandoned, as if all his ambitions and dreams had dissipated with the night air. Investigators soon established that one was a foreigner, and it quickly emerged that his criminal activities had a transnational scope. Details about his operations, connections, and routes spread rapidly among law enforcement agencies, and the case became a matter of international cooperation. Despite his lawyer's attempts to prove that one had acted under the influence of his circumstances and was forced into his choices, his criminal past proved to be an insurmountable obstacle. Chapter 6. The Fateful Verdict. The trial of one unfolded under intense scrutiny from both local and international media. The court heard evidence, testimonies, and expert opinions confirming the long history of criminal activity. For each of his crimes, strict prison sentences were imposed, but the decisive factor in the final verdict was his foreign nationality. Law enforcement authorities insisted that, in addition to imprisonment, one should be deported to Mexico, a country where foreigners who broke the law on foreign soil were typically barred from returning. The court ultimately rendered a verdict that marked the end of one's journey. He received a prison term followed by deportation back to his homeland, where his criminal past continued to haunt him as a legacy of misfortune and mistakes. Chapter 7. Consequences and Reflections. After his deportation, one found himself back in Mexico, greeted by mixed feelings. To some, he became a symbol of criminal lawlessness. To others, a tragic example of fate where circumstances left no choice. One struggled to find the strength to start anew, yet the shadow of his past trailed him relentlessly. Neighbors, acquaintances, and even casual passers-by knew the story of the foreigner who had once been overly ambitious and took a perilous leap into crime, a leap for which he paid a steep price. Immersed in reflection about his fate, one came to understand that his path had been a mistake, setting off a chain of tragic events. Every stolen bottle of alcohol and every pilfered ounce of precious metal had been an attempt to find solace in a world where he felt rejected and unwanted. But the price for these attempts proved to be too high. His deportation symbolized the final break with everything he once knew and marked the beginning of a long journey toward self-discovery and, perhaps, redemption. In Mexico, he was met by people who regarded him as a stranger, a foreigner who had lost the chance to be a part of society by breaking its laws. His life now became a struggle to return to normalcy, but the past would not let him go. One often recalled how, on dark nights hiding in the narrow alleys of an unfamiliar city, he had dreamt of freedom and wealth, not realizing that every action left a deep imprint on the lives of those around him. Over time, one adopted a quiet, almost reclusive life, taking on low-paying jobs and trying to atone for his past misdeeds. He attended meetings where people shared stories of their mistakes, hoping to find even a fragment of understanding in the words of others. Yet, despite all his attempts, his name remained synonymous with the notorious criminal path, a stark reminder of how choices can irrevocably shape one's destiny. Chapter 8. Life Lessons. One's story is one of a search for meaning, a tale of how circumstances and decisions can permanently alter a person's fate. His journey from a poor Mexican boy to a notorious thief was fraught with obstacles and contradictions. In his quest for comfort in money and luxury, he ultimately became a prisoner of his own destiny. Every stolen bottle of alcohol and every pilfered bit of precious metal brought him momentary satisfaction but could not drown the inner pain and disappointment. Deportation was a harsh blow. It forced him to confront reality and accept the consequences of his actions. Back in his homeland, one realized that his way was a mistake and that attempts to change his life through crime only worsened his situation. He came to understand that true freedom and happiness are achieved not through cunning or force, but through a sincere desire to change and live in harmony with oneself and others. In his later meetings, one would tell others about how he had gone astray, how he had chased wealth at any cost and, in the end, lost the most important thing, the ability to be honest with himself. His words were filled with regret and the wisdom gained over years of errors and hardships. Epilogue. One's story is not merely a tale of crimes and deportation. It is a narrative about how circumstances can drive a person down the wrong path and how the price of mistakes can be extraordinarily high. It is a story of lost opportunities, of a time when possibilities seemed endless, yet every action carried consequences that defined one's fate forever. One became a symbol of tragedy but also a lesson for those who seek to change their lives through quick, misguided decisions. His fate reminds us that every choice has its repercussions and that trying to escape reality often leads to even greater pain. Perhaps the true meaning of his story lies in the fact that the path to redemption is paved with the acknowledgement of mistakes and a sincere commitment to change.